So, pheasant tail nymphs are the basics of most river anglers' boxes. It's a versatile fly. You can vary the hook size, bead colour, and quite often there'll be hotspots or tags put on it just to give a variety. I'm going to tie just a basic pheasant tail nymph with an orange tag as a tail. This is on a size 14 jig hook and a 3mm metallic rose gold bead, and the bead's got a slot in it so that the bead will sit up at the top of the bend in the hook, and that will make the fly go down the river upside down. So we start off with some brown thread and just lay a very thin base down. We want this fly to be as thin as possible, and I usually stop just before the tip of the hook so that I can then tie in my orange tag. And this is just a piece of fluoro orange floss type material. So I put one turn on, pull it back to double up, and then just a couple of turns going back to secure it, and then I trim that off just about level with the back of the hook. So it's a small tag. So for the rib I use a copper wire, and I just tag that in, pull it back a bit, and then work forward to take down the tail end. Most people tend to break a piece of the wire off the bobbin and then use that to tie a number of flies. When I'm tying a lot of flies, I prefer to actually put it through a bobbin holder. It wastes less material, and I just find I get my tension the way I like it on the rib itself. So coming back a little bit, I then have 2 fibres from a pheasant tail, and I don't trim the tips off. Some people do, some don't. So putting one turn over and then pulling back the fibres as far as I can, and as I work back I carry on pulling those fibres back, so eventually they're hidden underneath the thread. Now at this stage I add just a tiny spot of super glue. There's a few different reasons for this. One, it can help the fly last a little bit longer, but the other reason I put it on is that I wind my pheasant tail fibres on by hand. I don't put them in hackle pliers as some people do. I find that I break them. So this just helps to hold on to the fibres if I lose control of them, which can happen very easily. So starting at the back, and you'll notice I haven't taken my thread back up. I use the thread to actually keep the fibres together as I wind them forward. And I just carry on winding all the way forward, just carrying that thread forward with me as I do. And this gives the nice rib texture of the nymph. And as it gets towards the end, it gets a bit short and fiddly, but it's usually at this point that if I'm using hackle pliers I break it. So, and I'll just let go of this so that you can see that the super glue does actually hold the fibres there for you, so it is a big advantage. So I'll just put my thread over, again. And then I can let go of those fibres. Bring them back, put a couple of turns in front, a couple of turns behind again. And then using nice sharp scissors, go in as close as I can behind that bead and stay well away from the thread and trim off the bit of tail that's left. And now get my ribbon material and I counter wind. So before I was winding away from me over the top, now I wind towards me under the bottom. So you just need 5 or 6 turns. And this not only adds a little bit of glint to the fly and the appearance of a rib, but it also helps to further secure that pheasant tail. So a couple of turns behind, a couple of turns in front, another turn behind, and then if you wind up your thread so your bobbin's touching the fly, and then that helps to stabilise everything and you helicopter off. I then put a quick 2 or 3 turn whip finish in to secure the fly, so at least now if for some reason the thread breaks while I'm trying to finish things, the whole fly isn't going to come unravelled. And touch the thread with some super glue so that it just leaves the merest spot on. And then whip finish again, keeping the fly as sparse as possible. We trim the thread off and that's it. One pheasant tail nymph to add to the box.